Hi everybody, welcome. We're going to do a virtual tasting for our December Wine Club pickup wines for you guys as our Wine Club members. This is the third time we've done this in a row. We did it in March for that quarter, we did it for the September quarter, and we're doing it again. Unfortunately, you know, it means that COVID is still impacting us as a business, and you know, this is one thing we're trying to do to still keep in touch with you as Wine Club members, to connect, and you know, you can share these wines along with me and I can do your tasting for you. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Rob Cox. I'm the Director of Winemaking here at Paradise Springs. And with that, let's get started with our first one in our tasting. This is unreleased, so you guys are getting first access to this, advantage of being a Wine Club member. This is our 2019 Reserve Chardonnay. We don't do a Reserve Chardonnay every year. It seems for some reason or another, I guess depending on the vintage, we were trying to do it in the better vintages, and 2019 was definitely a better vintage in Virginia for both white and red wine. So we had an abundance of high quality Chardonnay, so we decided to continue to do the Reserve Chardonnay in this vintage. The last time we did it was in 2017. Let's go ahead and give it a little pour. Let's give it a swirl to release the aromatics, give it a sniff. So it still has some of those green apple and pear notes that our regular Chardonnay has, but definitely has an extra layer of toastiness. It is in 50% new French oak, still well integrated, and then it gives like a brioche bready kind of note to this wine to me, a little bit of creaminess to it too. Just kind of adds to the overall layering of this wine. I feel this wine definitely has a place in our portfolio. Unfortunately, Chardonnay over the years has gotten a bad rap for being too buttery, too oak. This is definitely on the buttery end. The oak is up there, but I think it's still well integrated. Comes out on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. You know, and it's translating to the palate too, but like I said, I think it's well integrated. The creaminess from the oak taking some of the edges off of the acidity is definitely there. There's definitely good acidity to this wine still, which is still trying to make this Chardonnay and a regular Chardonnay in a brighter, fresher style Chardonnay, which is kind of what the marketplace is looking for, you as our consumers are looking for. But this one's maybe a little bit of a throwback to older Chardonnay that does have a little bit more oak on it, but it is well integrated into this wine. I think the amount of oak in this wine would definitely allow this to be really good pairing with like a broiled lobster with some drawn butter, like a triple creme brie that's got a lot of fat and butter content to it. I think would really work well with the creaminess in this wine. So when you're ready, go ahead and hit pause and sit back and enjoy the Chardonnay, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the next wine in our December Wine Club pickup flight. So, hi everybody, and welcome back to our December Wine Club tasting. We're going to move to our next wine. Our next wine is our 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. If you're a white wine only member, you're going to get this as part of your shipment. This has been released for a while, and this is one of our standard wines that's usually always on our menu, always part of our tastings or our flights. We actually make more of this wine than any of our other wine per volume per year, typically. Most of the years it's 100% Vidal Blanc, and this 2019 does have mostly Vidal Blanc, but does also have a little bit of Chardonnay in it. And that kind of adds to a little extra layer of some apple notes into this wine. This wine is also off dry, so you have a little bit of residual sugar, no oak on it, all done in stainless, and that's how to keep the acid really focused on this wine, so it's balanced with the sweetness that the wine does have in it, just to keep it well balanced so it's not very cloying. So let's go ahead and give this one a pour. Swirl and a sniff. So right away I get like a lemongrass, like gooseberry note, almost like a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. I love like that greener, grassier note on this wine. And then a little bit of pineapple translates aromatically in this wine for me. Let's go ahead and give it a sip. It's a very fresh wine, almost has like a lot of zip and zing to it, almost like a little bit of effervescence. This wine gets bottled very young, very high carbon dioxide amount, dissolved in this wine to kind of keep the sulfites low in this wine as we possibly can. But it's really easy drinking, really refreshing, which explains why it's one of our best-selling wines. It's also a great pairing with anything spicy, like a spicy Asian dish, Thai food would be a good pairing with this wine. And it's just very easy drinking on its own, especially when it's the warmer months. It's very refreshing. So with that, go ahead and pause, and enjoy this Sommelier if you're tasting the Sommelier alongside, and we'll go ahead and get started with the next wine in our December Wine Club. All right, welcome back. We're going to move to the next wine and shift gears in our December Wine Club tasting. We're going to shift to reds. We're going to do the 2018 Meritage. Meritage is a name that we kind of went away for a couple years when we added the Moment in 2016. But we brought it back. It's a name, that we felt like we needed to bring back in our lineup. We wanted to have a third Bordeaux blend, and it just fit because we were already using it to go alongside with our Melange Bordeaux blend and our Moment Bordeaux blend. And Moment's something that, might change up over the years to not being a whole Bordeaux blend, but we'll get into that some other time. We're talking Meritage now. 2018 is a little bit more of a challenging vintage for us here in Virginia. We cut back on our production to try and keep our quality high. And I think you'll see a level of quality in this Meritage, that's pretty standard with the Meritages of the past. And like I said, the 2015 Meritage was the last Meritage that we made. Tough shoes to follow. I think this one is good, and you'll enjoy it. It is a 4-grape Bordeaux blend. It has Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. And this is actually the last wine here at Paradise Springs that will have any Cab Sauv in it, unless we find a better, more consistent source for Cab Sauv. So for those who like the Cab Sauv in our blends, or the Cab Sauv we used to make, I think you'll get an extra appreciation for this wine. So let's go ahead and give a pour here and a swirl and a sniff. Yeah, this one has a lot of dark fruit to it, almost like a little bit of tobacco on the nose for me on this one. A little bit of spice too. Really a lot of complexity in the nose for this out of a tougher vintage, which is kind of fun with this wine. This is going to have a little bit more oak on it than the Melange has on it for sure, but I think the oak doesn't really jump out of the glass on this wine as I'm sniffing it. So let's go ahead and give it a taste. It's still well structured. Is it going to age as long as some of the Meritages in the past? Probably not, but I think this could lay down for a few years for you. People that like this a little bit on the softer side with the tannins, I think they'll kind of mellow out as time goes on, but it's definitely approachable now. I mean, at this point, it's a little over 2 years old, and with a little bit of decanting and all that, I think it'll even open up even further. Good dark fruits on the palate too, like blackberry, almost like a blueberry note on this one too. It's kind of fun. Get a little bit of baking spice on the finish. It's probably coming from the oak that's in this wine. Like I said, I don't think it's over oaked. I think it's really well balanced, really a fruit forward style Meritage. And it's got enough structure to kind of give it a little oomph, and that's the way it was intended. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I would pair this, I think, with like a heavy bolognese or a lamb ragu, something to that I think would work well with this. I think the Petit Verdot notes that are coming through to me and that would work well with both of those type of entrees. So go ahead and hit pause on the video and enjoy this one if you're tasting alongside, and we'll be back to finish up the tasting. All right, we're gonna go ahead and finish up our tasting for the December Wine Club. We're gonna finish with our 2018 Norton. This is gonna be for the red wine only. It's gonna get this part of their shipment along with their Meritage. Norton, Native American variety, popular in Virginia. There's a fair amount of wineries that do this wine because it's indigenous to our area. It's a little bit easier to maintain and deal with in a vineyard because it's used to growing in our climate here. Where some of the Bordeaux varieties, have a little bit harder time, like Malbec and Cabernet Sauvignon in Virginia. Norton is very easy to deal with and very easy to grow. It's very different. You know, and its nose and flavor profile from these other wines that we've tasted as part of this tasting. Being a Native American variety, it has some notes that are inherent to a Native American variety of grapes. So let's go ahead and give this one a smell. You know, has a little floral aspect, very jammy, fruity nose on it. For me, I get a lot of baking spice on this wine. You know, that kind of layers in with the floral notes on this. It's a very dark, inky wine, heavier in structure. It actually has more solids in it than any of the other varieties that we do. You know, it's just very different, and I think, you know, the nose on this wine reminds me of the holidays with its baking spice and all that. Whether you're drinking mulled wine or glühwein or your baked goods during the holidays, I think you know, this would be good to be any of those aspects or with the baked goods during the holidays. I usually would recommend this with some kind of barbecue too, or grilled meats. I think some of the spice on it and some of the smokiness that's inherent to this variety always works well with like a grilled meat. So let's go ahead and give this one a taste. You know, and there's really fruity, jammy notes really translate on the palate of this wine too. I always say that's like fruity tooty. So if you really like very fruit forward wines, very jammy wines, I think this will be something that will appeal to you. The spice on it kind of works with me. This is one of the only wines here at Paradise Springs that we ever put into American oak. I think it's an American variety. It needs American oak. American oak's a little more robust and hardy compared to French oak, and I think it stands out well to kind of tame down the wildness that is Norton, and really kind of pulls this wine together. I think you'll taste that as you get into this wine. So with that, we want to thank you for being wine club members here in Paradise Springs. We value your patronage, your loyalty to our wines, our wine program, especially as we're all going through these times with COVID where we can't have you here for our big pickup parties like we loved doing in the past. Hopefully by the next one, maybe in March, things will be in a better state where we can have you all back on the property at once and have some fun and reconnect with you on a personal level. But hopefully you're appreciating these videos, watching these videos, and enjoying these tastings that we're still trying to do to connect with you out there. So with that, cheers, and we look forward to seeing you all here in Paradise again soon.